A famous English novelist, some 2 centuries ago now, I think, began one of his great books with the sentence, "This is the best of times, and this is the worst of times." It was true then, but of course it's even much more true now. In fact, we can examine the history of Kali Yuga and see that it has been a direct burgeoning of both the best and the worst. In every moment of history, something new arose that was both good, but with the potentiality of being used for evil. And as in each generation the ego became more materialistic, the more attached to territory, property, power, sensory gratification. In each generation, the worst of the potentialities of the ego at that point emerged, and the best aspirations of the soul were also present. And so in each age you can point to both the catastrophic fall of consciousness, and at the same time you can see a rise in the aspiration for a return to goodness and for a renaissance of that divine creative genius that was the capacity that enabled the human spirit to develop the technologies that have now become deployed by those dark forces to make this the worst of all times in ways that are unprecedented, and in which evil has come to its ultimate climax in the murder of its own children, its own people, its own planet. But in such a time of darkness that has reached absolute dimension, in this same moment, of course, the ultimate paradoxical sense of humor is that this is the moment that God consciousness also returns to the world and brings salvation to those who became lost in helplessness, hopelessness, despair, and the dread of approaching death. And so it is in this moment in which we must choose between these two forces, these two attitudes, whether of fear or of the joyous love that recognizes the presence of God, having returned to the world in secret to uplift again those souls who aspire to be angels, to return to them the power that will enable the liberation of the world from this darkness. The book that this man wrote, he entitled A Tale of Two Cities, meaning at that time London and Paris. But really the truth is we are living in a tale of two siddhis, the siddhi of awareness and the siddhi of light, the siddhi of transcendence and the siddhi of immanence, the city of nirvana and the city of samsara. And we are given the power to master both. It is this integration of these two cities, of yin and yang, of the dominant and the recessive, of the harmonious and yielding and the assertive and empowering, of the capacity to attune to those subtle levels of reality where the angelic forces await the call to be deployed, and to call forth the energies of matter itself and all of its secret elementals who animate every aspect of nature, to bring forth a harmonious energy field of divine attunement to that perfection of spirit that now we are once again able to embody when it seems that all hope has been lost. That miraculous achievement of the salvation of the light, the ultimate Hanukkah, the ultimate Christmas, the ultimate redemption, the ultimate new cycle, new year, new kalpa, new beginning of our divine original nature, our ancient future, now is being realized in reality, in the integration of the noumenal and the phenomenal, through our own consciousness uniting with that of God. And because the power of God is unlimited, if we are simply willing to make the sacrifice of the ego, to let go of that thin film of mental chatter that is the only thing that separates us from God, but that is the cause of all of our suffering, all the neuroses and psychoses that plague the human spirit, all can be dropped in a moment when you realize you were never born, that you are not the bodily vehicle, that your real self did not undergo any trauma, that you have always been only the eternal light that is changeless and forever blissful, and that your consciousness contains the infinite intelligence of that supreme power that has created the world and that now will terminate this world that has become too sick and oppressive and suffering to be allowed to continue. And so we assist in this euthanasia in order to bring about new life from the very source of life itself. By ourselves going through the death of the ego and being born again, Christed, filled with the Buddha nature, in union with the Tao, in that absolute oneness in which the will of God takes over the mind and the body and brings the perfect resolution to all the conflicts of the world, with the love that heals all wounds and resolves all deadlocks with eternal life and light. It is this moment, the best of moments and the worst, in which the darkness and the light again become one. But when they become one, the darkness disappears and the light shines again in all, for all, to create a realm of beauty in which the joy that underlies the creative power of God and the purity and goodness will create a world in microcosm in this community in which harmony abides, in which wisdom reigns, in which unity flourishes, and in which all the infinite manifestations of God that form our world become united in the support of that vibrational frequency that makes God's presence manifest to all. May you attune to this vibration of the presence of the Lord of life and feel palpably in your heart that power that cannot be seen with the two physical eyes, but whose light fills the third eye with infinite power. And may you be destroyers of darkness in every soul. Namaste. May you know the peace that comes from uniting the two siddhis of awareness and light. Of the unmanifest and the manifest. Of the projective and the introjective. Of the empty void and the pillar of light. And may these two siddhis in their integral union bring the consciousness to the level of peace that cannot be disturbed. Because even the world itself, with all of its agitations, is only the manifestation of God in the final moments in which the abyss opens and consumes all the darkness, so that the power of light can reemerge. And may you know that peace that comes with realizing the ultimate power that is always unmanifest and always manifest, and always brings the best of times when one's self is remembered, and the worst of times when one forgets. And may that eternal knowledge be now emblazoned in the mind forever. so that never again will the presence of God be forgotten.